Welcome to episode 54 of the Sports Geek podcast. On this week's podcast, I catch up with Dave Sjolin from Days of Logic, now Ski Data, about sports website development and what he's learned over the years working with several teams. And of course, we preview SEAT 2014 in Miami.
Welcome to the Sports Geek podcast, the podcast built for the sports digital marketer. And now, here's your host, who's changed the Sports Geek Twitter handle 3 times, Sean Callanan.
Thanks, DJ Joel. That's right, I have changed the Sports Geek Twitter handle 3 times. Originally, it was _sportsgeek_, and I hated the underscore, so I changed it to Sports Geek HQ, and then luckily enough, through a few friends at Twitter, I was able to nab the Sports Geek handle. And just a tip, if you are changing your Twitter handle, always secure the old handle and redirect fans. There's nothing worse than changing over your handle and have someone go and squat on that old handle, as people may have recognised that handle. So, pro tip for players, it is a bit of a switch tactic. You've got to be very quick about creating the new account, switching it over, grabbing the old account. But you really want to protect your brand. You don't want someone tweeting on an old account. Bags are packed. Presentation and notes for all the panels that I'm working on for SEAT are nearly done. I catch up with Al Crombie on ABC Grandstand and preview some of that stuff that I'm looking forward to at SEAT. And then also catch up with fellow SEAT steering committee member Dave Sjolin and talk a little bit about the geek side of sports and sports website development. So it's good to catch up with Dave later in the show. But first, here's Al Crombie on ABC Grandstand.
LeBron's not going to Miami. Sean Callanan's going to Miami. That's the big news.
Yeah, exactly. I'm using ABC Grandstand to announce that I'm going to Miami. But no, I'm going to Miami for a conference. And so if anyone wants any cut price LeBron gear, I'm sure I'll be able to get a stack of it. So I'm heading to Miami next week for the SEAT conference. So I've spoken about it before.
SEAT, S-E-A-T.
Yeah, so it's a Sports Entertainment Alliance in Technology. So, you know, really right in the wheelhouse, as they would say, for what we do at Sports Geek. And so it's where there's 3 tracks of sports business professionals sort of turn up. So it started as a CIO, so the Chief Information Officer of all the pro teams, so the guys that manage all the tech, the geeks of the sports world. So they're the guys that set up Wi-Fi in stadiums and make sure databases are running and making sure that fans are getting the right offers, those kind of things. So keeping all the technology that's, you know, really growing space in the sports field, especially in the stadium sort of area. And then the other two tracks is a CRM, so the customer relationship management system. So again, being able to understand your fans, track what they're doing, present them with the right offers, integrate campaigns with sponsors, those kind of things. We've spoken to a few of those guys with Francis on the show. And then the track that I curate the digital track. So it's the digital guys who are producing the content, running the social media platforms and engaging the fans on the platforms that they play on through their mobile devices and in the stadium as well. So it's always, last year it was in Kansas City and I hobbled around on crutches. So I'm looking forward to be able to walk around.
It's been a year already.
It has been a year. So really looking forward to catching up with some of the teams that are there, both from a US point of view. So a lot of the pro teams will be in attendance, but then there's also a good contingent of international. So myself coming from Australia, and then bigger names like Richard Clark, who we've had on the show from Arsenal. He's coming down to Miami because Arsenal will be having a trip to the States, and I really think a lot of the EPL teams will be pushing their marketing into the US after the World Cup and seeing that the US are really interested in football. So yeah, really looking forward to it, and there'll be some big discussions on, I guess, the future of digital and how to connect with the fans.
I mean, it's so interesting, isn't it? Because it's really, you'd be riding the kind of the first wave almost in just seeing the growth in how, especially with fan interaction and all the digital components in stadiums, and you have mentioned on the show before, but it's a really exciting new aspect of the sporting experience.
Yeah, and so like one of the panels I'm running is on the fan trifecta of technology, engagement and digital, and how they sort of weave that together. And so some of the guys on the panel, and I'm really looking forward to it. To have someone from We've spoken about Major League Baseball, Advanced Media, their technology company, ESPN, the NFL, New England Patriots, to talk to them about how they go about engaging the fan. And the fan can be in different places, and so you've got to work out different profiles of these fans. You've got the fan on the couch that has their mobile device while they're engaged with the TV and they're watching the game. So how do you communicate and engage them and not distract someone from what they're watching, but provide, extra benefits for that experience? Then there's the fan that is on the move. And this is the fan that is being targeted more and more because we're on the move all the time. Whether we're, on commuting, walking, at work, anything like that. So, and fans still want that information. So how you go about connecting with that fan, or even the fan that's coming to the stadium, how do you engage with that? And then the whole other experience is, how do you engage with the fan that's at the stadium? So that is, making sure that there is Wi-Fi, but then making sure that you've got these utilities, whether it's in your stadium itself or in the apps that you develop. So some of the things that we'll be discussing are things like beacon technology. So beacon technology is this technology that's available in iPhones and Androids. Is where you can set up these beacons, is what they call, and they send out either a sound or a Bluetooth message, and it'll send a push notification to your phone. So it knows that you're in the stadium. So guys like the Golden State Warriors, as you walk into the stadium, says, welcome to the stadium. Oh, by the way, if you go to Bay 124, you can pick up your special bracelet or a giveaway or something like that. So it's a little way to thank the fan for coming to the game.
A little personal touch.
Yeah, yep. But then there's also what they can do is present offers to people in specific parts of the stadium. So if you're going to the upper levels or the nosebleed section and they can have a beacon at the top of the escalators that say, just remind you that, there are some seats in the lower level if you want to upgrade your seat. So it's not pushed out to everybody in the stadium, but just the people that it's completely relevant to. And so just that, that small notification can turn people to go, oh yeah, I have got a bit of extra cash in my pocket. I wouldn't mind sitting, close to the court. I never get an opportunity. So it's that kind of technology that makes you want to open up the team app, but then also, get a better seat, bring in more revenue, increase, increase the fan experience and make them want to, come again. So they're some of the topics that will be discussed. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, fantastic for you to be amongst that, especially with some of these big players that on the list of paper here, some big sporting clubs involved. I mean, I know you deal with AFL clubs here, NRL clubs. Yep. Where's Australia at in regards to this fan interaction and getting on board and just the tech aspect of the sport?
Well, I think from an outside the stadium point of view and the content being developed and pushed out, I think the teams are doing, a terrific job and are in that same sort of space. They're probably just a little light on for the amount of resources, but from a content point of view, they're pushing out a lot of content. Mm-hmm. But it's hard to compare the AFL NRL clubs with say what Richard Clark at Arsenal has at his arsenal, if I can use that term, because he's got a bigger team and that kind of thing. So it is a matter of a volume thing. But as far as the content they're producing in serving their fans and competing against media outlets, they're doing a good job. The next stage is that in stadium engagement, and that is needs the technology to be rolled out. So we've spoken about before that stadiums like the SCG is getting that rolled out. ANZ Stadium is getting that rolled out. So there's a few that are getting that technology. And once that technology is rolled out and fans realise that they can use their phones, then the next step is to have the mobile applications that get installed to have that functionality. So again, like the Golden State Warriors, it's great to have the beacons in there, but then it's the key thing is to have the beacon technology integrated with your app, so you can send to someone a ping when they walk into the merchandise store, and it just presents you with an extra offer. So you were just browsing, but now you've been told there's an extra 10% because you've opened your phone and it's told you about it. So it's more you're more likely to buy because you've just been given that offer. So that's where when you can do those kind of offers and people can say, we can roll this out and people will spend more money in our shop, or people will buy upgrades. Like again, if I was able to go to the MCG and there were level 2 seats available, why wouldn't I want to upgrade to a comfier seat or whatever? But we don't have, that type of tech isn't isn't quite there, but it's not that far away. So, there's players in that space, and, I'll be catching up with the stack of them at Seat that are rolling out that technology, and it's the ones that provide extra revenue and, increase the fan experience. But it's the revenue one that will probably the one that'll be ticking the box first, because it's an easier way to justify it. The whole return on investment is what teams are looking for. So that Wi-Fi, who pays for the Wi-Fi has been a push-pull equation that teams, venues have been struggling with. But there's more and more ways to monetize that, and that's what's going to lead teams to start using it, and really to get stadiums to roll it out so teams can use it. And that's the battle in Australia to a certain degree.
Yeah, looking forward to hearing what you come back with from the big conference. Let's move on a little, just get some other little tidbits before we head to the news. Technology doesn't always enhance sport. Sometimes it can hinder sport, as we've seen in the Tour de France.
Yeah, you were just talking about the Tour and the crashes I was hearing overnight. Hopefully no one from the public was involved, because there's a bit of a problem on the Tour. We've spoken about before, and when you're at a sporting event, there's a big pull for the people with the phones to prove that they were there and, brag about it. And it's something that as sports marketers you love. You want people to brag that you're at the event. You want people to take a photo and say, oh, I'm here. But it's causing a bit of a problem in the Tour de France is because TDF selfies seem to be trending. So people are waiting to see the riders go past. And instead of, cheering them on and saying they're doing a great job, they're turning around, putting their back to the riders and taking a selfie with the riders driving by. And there's no rear vision mirror on a smartphone as yet. So and in some instances, members of the public are stepping onto the track and causing some it's causing a little bit of concern for the riders, because they're trying to ride in a professional bike race, and some idiot is walking out, turning their photo and go, "Hey, look at me! I'm at a bike race."
Or running alongside them, getting video footage.
And the thing is, there's people have tweeted, "I nearly died," with a big smile on their face. So it is a bit of a concern. I'm sure the guys at the TDF love the fact that their fans are fully in and committed and those kind of things, but it is a bit of a security concern. So I think it's something that they've got to keep an eye on. But a bit of danger. You wouldn't do it at running with the Bulls, I would have thought.
Mate, great to have you in. Have a wonderful time in Miami, and we look forward to chatting to you when you get back. I'm sure you'll come armed with a whole new set of knowledge we can rock on with it for another year until the next one.
No worries, mate.
Good on you, Sjolin Cullen, our resident Sports Geek HQ. Just go to the website sportsgeekhq.com.
Sign up for Sports Geek News at sportsgeekhq.com/sign up now.
So, don't forget, I'll be live tweeting from Seat and sharing a lot of content from Seat, and I will be launching a specific ebook around the digital campaigns from around the world presentation. So not only the slide deck, but some supporting information around those campaigns. As I said, I'm still currently working on it. I will get it completed before I do it. That will be released on to everyone who's on the Sports Geek News email list. So simply go to sportsgeekhq.com/SGN and you can sign up for that, and you'll get an email to download that ebook. Really looking forward to it, and thank you to everybody who's helped contribute it and share some info of the different campaigns that they've done. Remember to follow Seat Conference on Twitter, the Seat 2014 hashtag, and find Seat on Facebook. We'll be sharing a whole bunch of stuff on all of those platforms. I'll have a page up that is a little bit of a hub to keep track of everything. If you just simply go to sportsgeekhq.com/Seat2014, we'll do our best to curate some of the best content there, and you can also catch all the podcasts that I've done with people who will be attending Seat if you want to be in catch-up mode and you're looking for something to listen to while you're traveling to Miami, for those who are heading down there. Looking forward to it. One of those people who will be down there is Dave Sjolin. I now know how to pronounce his name. From Days of Logic, a good mate of mine that I caught up with initially at Boston. Had a chat to him about the techie side, get into the geeky side of what I used to do in being a coder and a developer. Dave is still very much in that space, and we talk about some of the trends that he's seeing in the space, and also in what he's doing with products like TicketNet and his fan loyalty platform that he's rolling out with multiple teams. So here's my chat with Dave Sjolin from Days of Logic and now Ski Data. Very happy to welcome a good mate of mine all the way from Portland, Oregon, Dave Sjolin. I always have trouble with your name, Dave, with that silent S, silent J. I don't know what's going on there, but Dave Sjolin from Days of Logic, but now moving into working with Ski Data. Welcome to the podcast, Dave.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks for having me.
How do I say your name again? Because I keep stuffing it up.
My family says Sjolin. It's a Swedish name. Everybody has trouble with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I get my name misspelt regularly, Sean. I often get my coffees in the morning and someone calls out scene. So I'm right with you there on getting your name mispronounced. Wanted to have a chat with you. I think we first met at Seat. Was it in Boston in 2012?
Yeah, that's right.
Sort of talk to you because I come from I've told my Sports Geek story, and I was a coder before I started Sports Geek, but you're still very much fingers locked to the keyboard. You're still coding away, done a lot of work in the sports website area. Do you want to give us a little bit of background of your backstory in the world of sports?
Sure, yeah. So I'm really rooted in the technology and the development side of things. It seems today I don't get to code as much as I'd like to. I got a small team that does a lot of it now, but I still get to do a lot of the architecture and the deep dives into some of the geeky stuff that I really love doing. So I'm a sports geek as well. So actually, right as I left school in 2000, I started working for the Trailblazers, mostly working in their CRM. Kind of graduated from there to work with their scouting people. We were actually doing a lot of statistical scouting, back when the Moneyball book first came out. Everybody was really big on that.
Yep.
And then did a lot of stuff moving over to their marketing team and promotions. So really have a lot of experience within all different facets of working in sports.
So going back there, I think your name came out through a common friend, Dan Harbison at the Trailblazers, and I'm a Trailblazer fan project. That was sort of one of the first fan only sort of community based websites that were developed and it was done sort of pre Facebook era.
Yeah, we came out with that in 2000. We were working on it in 2008, and we launched in 2009. Hard to believe that was even that long ago, but that was right as Facebook was kind of getting into wide release.
Yeah. So what did you guys learn from that experience, and how has the landscape changed? What did sort of social do to that sort of those sort of sites?
Well, we were a very early mover in that space, especially in the private social network. The big thing that we learned with that probably is, kind of keep it simple. We bit off a lot on that. That is a huge platform. I am a Trailblazers fan. So nowadays you don't have to really build all that. So much of the social network pieces are built for you, and you can repurpose those in mashups. So you can just use Facebook as your social network or Twitter, and then just kind of build off of that, the different features.
Yeah, I do remember, I met Dan in 2010 when he came to speak in Sydney, New Zealand. I was at the same conference I was at, and it definitely was that first mover advantage, because there was a few teams that had built those kind of sites before Facebook, but then if you built them after everyone had sort of started migrating to Facebook, it was very hard to drive that community. And now, as you sort of said, it's not that you have to build that whole community. It's how do you integrate that community into the community that's out there, using things like Facebook Connect and those kind of things, because people don't want another network to a certain degree now.
Right. You want to interact with the fans where the fans are at. And so a lot of teams are doing a better job these days of, having a really well moderated Instagram feed. And of course, Twitter is, ingrained everywhere now. But it's a matter of striking a balance between having that conversation on the social network and also bringing the user back onto some of your properties, so they're immersed in your brand, interacting with your representatives, and you can control the narrative better that way.
So some of the things from a techie point of view that you've worked on, we've sort of discussed the Trailblazer thing, but you're now your role as director of engineering at Ski Data. You're moving into the into the Ski Data family around the loyalty stuff. Do you want to sort of touch on some of the stuff that you've done sort of so far with some of the NFL teams around the loyalty space?
Sure. So some of the earlier work we did with the I'm a Trailblazers fan is evolved into what we have right now around our rewards platform. So we're probably on a third generation now, and we've simplified it a lot. So we don't do so much. We do less, but we do it a lot better than we did before. And so with that platform now, we're in with a lot of the NFL teams. We've had quite a bit of traction with the Broncos, the Dolphins, the 49ers, the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's really taken off. The 49ers are probably our latest property. We just launched that in wide release probably a week ago. And they are really pushing the envelope on what can be done and how it works across all of their platforms. So one of the big pieces with that the 49ers were interested in was integration, which has always been a problem in sports. We have a lot of vendors that are making good products, but they tend to be siloed. So how do we get that how do we get that data to flow into our CRM, into our data warehouses, so we can turn that into actionable intelligence? And so they looked at a lot of vendors and a lot of different teams that were running these systems, and after a long search decided that they wanted something that was really open. So without going too techie and doing too much of a deep dive, they really liked kind of our service-oriented platform that lets them extend our membership services and our reward services across their different Facebook platforms, mostly mobile. They're doing some really interesting stuff with allowing users to transfer their points into money, so they can actually buy concessions in the arena, and that's a first for the industry.
Yeah, so it is when again going down to the techie stuff, but it's just really you having the platform that has an API or application programming interface to be able to plug in the different components that the 49ers or any team might be wanting to do. And I think one of the things, and I spoke to I've spoken to a few people about the sort of the loyalty game, and and you look at the industries that have done it exceptionally well in the airline industries and retail. Sports now is moving into that same space. People who are buying the ticket, people who are buying the merchandise, people who are engaging with the team are the ones getting rewarded, and it's very easy to turn around that ROI to say, well, this person is spending all this money, that they're the people we should be rewarding. So that's sort of why a lot of these teams are sort of pushing their chips in with loyalty programs.
Right, and a lot of the teams that are doing it well are really focusing on the motivational aspects of it that come from game theory. That's the biggest probably change that we've seen in the last 4 or 5 years in that space. And we've seen that a lot with a lot of the Facebook games, the Farm Bill and things like that just find really easy ways to hook into a user's kind of motivation, whether it's intrinsically or extrinsically motivating them, whether or not it's something that they're doing, interacting with their friends, or if they're competing with other people, or just finding some way to give them like a really quick reward to kind of get them accustomed to doing things, to earning more rewards, and to training them that they can get some pretty cool experiential rewards if they stick around and come back to the site a lot. So those are the sites that are really being successful, and we're seeing more and more teams kind of privy to that and getting that and knowing what to ask for.
So this is really around sort of engaging your key fans, your season ticket holders, which are most likely the most financially invested in your team, and really deepening that relationship with them. Had a really good chat with Shane Harmon about membership marketing, which I think Australia does really well. I think this rewards sort of data that you're starting to get will help you understand the financial side of things. But if you can put those rewards in and give the fans things that they really do want, whether it's a pass to walk on the field before the game, or a special exclusive access to a locker room, or a chat with the coaches, it really deepens that emotional investment with the team. And so it disconnects I'm paying this much dollars to go to the game. It's like I'm not even thinking about the dollars because I'm so emotionally invested with the team that it doesn't become a financial question at all. It's always an emotional investment. So it's a bit of a I guess you would have seen the Facebook study that came out with them supposedly manipulating the news feed to see how it affects people and the uproar around that. I mean, to a certain degree, it's just Facebook testing it to make their product better, but it did make them sound very much evil. But they're pretty much just trying to make their product better and I guess deepen that emotional engagement with their fans. So I didn't have a massive issue with it, but it is. What is that your sort of take on it as well?
Right. We want to find the most efficient way to interact with fans. The way the way the fans want to be interacted with, and all these teams have limited resources, and you want to make sure that anything that you're doing is getting the biggest bang for your buck. And so we try to be smart about that and look at research around things like the game mechanics to figure out what it takes to get to that point.
So going back to what you said there, bang for your buck, I did talk to Jeff Eldersfeld from the Blue Jackets, who uses TicketNet, which is a product that you built, which is a ticket sales lead product, and you want to tell us a little bit about that and how they're going about using it to sell more tickets and get more sales leads. So it's more transactional. But it's sort of it's a way for the fans, it's a way for them to at least engage their fans and have that exchange of, we want your data, but we also want to run these cool promotions for you.
Right, and TicketNet, when it's run in kind of the classical sense, it's you're aware it's a really flexible promotion, but when it's run in just kind of the simple way, the point really is to improve the perceived value of something you're offering. So it works on referrals. It's not built really around a system that you can refer your friends to join if you want, but it's all about referrals. Like, we're incentivizing the referral, and then we're getting some pretty good prizes around that too. And the idea for that really came around what Gmail did when they first came out. They had this kind of new exclusive email platform, but you couldn't register for it unless you were invited.
Yep.
And so that it builds exclusivity and improves the value of it. So we try to take offers that we can, all the teams have certain ticket deals, for a Tuesday game or a package and that kind of thing. We try to get some kind of a special offer that we can make available only to TicketNet registrants and allow people to refer that. So you can only access that if you're an insider somehow, or if you get referred by an insider.
Yeah, I mean,
and so
the case study or the use case that I've been playing around with at the minute, and I'm not a fan of Subway, so I don't know why I keep using this. But effectively, you can put out an offer that says, get a 12-inch Subway for the price of a 6-inch, through our team. And by the way, if you do that, you can get, you could win a signed jersey or something like that. So you're automatically pushing a sponsor into giving a great offer to your fans, and it doesn't have to be a ticketing offer. In this case, it can be a half price Subway, but they can exclusively get it, and that's sort of the part that then becomes sales leads down the track.
Absolutely, and that's kind of the beauty of the TicketNet promotion, is that these are people that are in your market. They want to go, they're fans. They want to go to your game, and depending on what you're using as an incentive, what you're dangling for the carrot, you can ask quite a bit of information. So if you're giving something that's kind of small away, maybe it's they have to buy a ticket, they get maybe a discount or something on it. You can ask for some information. If you're giving away a free ticket, maybe to a preseason game that's poorly attended anyway, you can generally ask for more information.
Yep.
And then of course, a lot of teams, they don't like the idea of discounting tickets or especially giving tickets away. So it's always good to bring a sponsor in there and have any kind of a discount be a courtesy of a sponsor, so it doesn't seem like you're have distressed inventory.
Well, yeah, and that is really important. If you're just pushing out a ticket offer and you're training, you don't want to be training your fans to know that those offers are always out there. So that's super important, and plenty of people listening who sell tickets understand the term papering the stadium. You don't want to be known for doing that. Also, going off some of the stuff that you're doing, where do you over the past 5 years, which is it is eons in a technology world. How is the advent of the traffic moving to the mobile change what you guys are doing from a cutting code point of view?
Well, basically, for us, it means a variety of things. I mean, we need to have responsive websites that work, just work on the phones. I mean, we're seeing we've crossed the threshold to 50% traffic on mobile. So anything that we design needs to be designed mobile first. We've been doing that for a while here. And then so we're seeing that. Then also just because we have APIs, we're able to integrate those into any native development as well. So a lot of times, a lot of experiences don't work very well on web mobile.
Yep.
Just because of the connectivity. Facebook tried to do a lot of that kind of stuff, and they scrapped it and decided they're going to go native. And so we generally recommend any kind of a submersive, complicated interaction you want to do with the fan on the mobile handset. You might want to go native on that. So if you do that, we do expose the API and it allows you to pull all of our membership and user information into a native application. But that's pretty much where things are going. I mean, we've been going native for a while, and I think it'll continue to go that way. And we're going to see more mashups on mobile. Some of the big mobile players that we're talking to right now are looking to interact with us, to integrate with us, as well as some of the other best of breed systems out there, like the ticket upgrades and stored value and things like that.
So when you say native, you're saying apps within mobile integrating with each other with each other's apps. Would that be the right way of saying it?
Right. So you're going to see anything that you're going to download from like the App Store or the Google Play Store. So stuff you're actually going to install on your phone. Some of the big mobile development, big mobile players out there are going to be offering these integrations to the teams. So the teams won't have to necessarily try to get everything from one player. They'll be able to pick and choose and get the best of breed in a single integrated mobile application.
So, a couple of things, I guess, to get your opinion and sort of takeaways being, a sports geek in the space and more geek than I am. I've sort of not hitting the code as much as you were. If you've got those IT skills, and I think they're highly in demand in the sports space because they're growing all the time. And you see that at Seat. Where do you, if you've got that type of skills, how can you break into the sports industry, or where should they be looking to work?
Well, you probably want to get ahead of the curve a little bit. So right now, big data is the big buzzword, and cloud, and the systems like the loyalty reward system allows you to collect a lot of information. So with information, information needs to be digested, be consumable to turn into knowledge, right? We're seeing a lot more teams who are interacting with. They're engaging with data warehousing companies, a variety of data warehousing companies. So probably the analytical side of things, the ability to do ad hoc report generation, work with some of these NoSQL databases, and just the ability to sift through large amounts of data and kind of the principles behind that are going to be paramount to anybody trying to get into the system in the next few years.
And I think what you said before about when you sort of started the scouting analytics and Billy Beans and Moneyball, I really think, and definitely seeing it grow at Seat with the CRM side of things, the new Moneyball is picking up, is that big data. Is that, how can you analyse that data? How can you make sense of it? Because all the teams are getting the data, but the data isn't of any use if you don't use it and understand it and analyse it. So again, if you can get into that space, because there's the people who analyse the data, but then there's also the extracting of that data. If you can't get, give me a list of single game purchases that within this, the 100-mile region of the arena from your database, then you can't go back and put that offer out. So, having some SQL skills and be able to query your CRM to get that data is going to be paramount in making the right offers.
Absolutely. Yeah, and a lot of teams, I think, are they're starting to get that and ask the right questions. So anything that we want to get out later, we need to ask for now. So if any teams are undergoing any kind of rewards implementation or any kind of course, CRM, or there's some teams that are just now adopting CRM. But anything that's going to be doing a lot of lead generation, you want to know from the beginning what kind of questions you plan on asking, so you can begin with that in mind. Otherwise, you might find that you get to that point and you don't quite have everything you need, and it's hard to go back. So We're seeing people ask for a lot of information, and it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in the next couple of years with how it gets used. There's several companies that are out there right now that are just looking to integrate, kind of the back office systems, the CRM, even ticketing, access control with the front, the user-facing systems, the Ticketmaster's on that side, the ticketing people on that side, and of course the loyalty reward systems, and bring those together to have kind of a unified dashboard that shows, in one place and sometimes in real time, how things are going, how sales are trending, even what people are talking about, the sentiment analysis from the social network feeds and that kind of stuff. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out in the next few years.
Yeah, and especially how the evolving legislation and commentary around privacy as well. So I think people will become a bit more restrictive of what they share. Legislators will pull people up as well. So, the days of asking for everything or, having a Facebook Connect that enables you to get everything, I think are probably closing very, very soon. So you've got to be very tactical about what you ask and I guess why you ask it as well.
Absolutely. You need to give them a good reason to share that information, and usually you need to give them something in value return. So
just a few questions to finish up the interview, because pretty much everyone I have a chat with are sports fans in essence, because that's part of the reason they're in the world of sport. So what would be the best stadium you've attended as a sports fan?
Let's see. Been to quite a few. I think the new Levi Stadium is really neat. It's not open yet. We took a tour of it in January. There's probably going to be some press coming out about that pretty soon, so I'll let them launch that one.
It's got to be at a game. You've got to go to a game. It can't be just. It doesn't count. I've done tours of stadiums when they're empty, and it doesn't count.
But they're doing some neat things. So you'll see. Yeah. They're turning some of these concepts on their head. It's gonna be really cool.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
I have seen the specs and some of the stuff that's coming out, and I can't wait to go to the stadium myself. But yes, so a stadium sporting memory that you've been to.
Well, I gotta say Fenway Park, and that's gonna be low tech, but it was just the history there. It's so. It's such a neat place to go.
It was, yeah. And, it was pretty cool to go there for a seat when it was in Boston. So your best sports biz tip for people either in the industry or trying to get in the industry?
Oh, best tip. Well, it's a lot about sharpening the saw and keeping up on the latest. There's this kind of funny talking guy out of Australia. There's a podcast I'd like to listen to. I recommend that. From a technology standpoint, for me, I'm on the technology side of things. So just kind of keeping up on things. If you can really keep up on the cutting edge of technology, you're always going to be in demand. Things are going social, open source today. That kind of stuff, the standard things.
Yeah, technology. It's its own beast. As someone who did it for 15 years. You've got to. I liken working in IT into surfing because you've got to find the next wave. So I did 3 or 4 years with Power Builder, then I jumped over to .NET, which you're still working with .NET, and then I sort of looked at the social space and Apple development and stuff like that. You've got to see where the market's moving and have that skill set to be able to move your skill set to meet it. And meet it at the time when that wave is at its zenith, so whether it's, hey, Y2K bug is out, I better start fixing those type of systems. It's very much in that space from an IT point of view. So it's all about seeing those trends.
Right, and it's always moving faster and faster. So you have to be prepared to be, what you learn today is going to be obsolete probably in 2 years. And you have to really like to learn. You have to be really inquisitive, and you have to be really patient.
Yeah, definitely. And that's sort of the whole agile methodology that I think more people in sports are starting to see because it's sort of being forced upon them from the tech side of things of being able to move quickly and take those changes and deliver things quickly because that's sort of where the whole startup scene is at the minute.
Absolutely, yeah. So working a lot with from a technology standpoint, we work a lot with the end users. throughout the whole cycle of a project, and that's just the only way to do it. So we don't get off the rails. You don't finish a project and deliver it and have somebody say that's not what they asked for. So people know exactly what the project is. We always have working software. We could launch at any time. Those agile methodologies have just improved the software craft immeasurably.
Well, thank you very much, Dave, for joining me on the podcast. Look forward to catching up with you in Miami at SEAT 2014. Until then, I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks a lot, Sean.
Check out which teams work with SportsGeek at sportsgeekhq.com/clients.
Thanks again to Dave Sjolin for that chat. Looking forward to continuing those kind of techie, geeky discussions in a few of the sessions at SEAT. As I said again, follow the SEAT 2014 hashtag. And if you cannot make it, if you're not going to be there at SEAT this year, please mark your diaries now for SEAT 2015. As you would have heard if you'd listened to the episode with Christine Stoffel, a bit over 400 people attended Kansas City, and this year there will be over 750 people in Miami. So again, kudos to Christine and the team for building this conference up. That clock is telling me to shut up and get out of the podcast. This has been episode 54, sportsgeekhq.com/54, where you can get the show notes and links to everything that Dave discussed earlier in the podcast. That's pretty much it for this episode. Please check out the new iTunes logo or the new iTunes cover art for the Sports Geek podcast, and if you could leave a review, that'd be much appreciative. This week's Sounds of the Game comes from the man himself, LeBron James, at the World Cup final. It's quite apt, just a week after we discussed the issues around Vine and Instagram video that one of the biggest athletes in the world tweets out a video of a streaker at the World Cup. See you in Miami, guys.
Please leave a review on iTunes. Go to sportsgeekhq.com/iTunes. Find all Sports Geek podcasts at sportsgeekhq.com/SGP. Need help with your content? Book in for a content brainstorming session with Sports Geek now. Go to sportsgeekhq.com/work. See you in Miami. Thanks for listening to the Sports Geek Podcast.